Coming to you from Dover, Ohio and Summerville, South Carolina. Two cities with absolutely nothing in common until now. This is Make Photography Great Again, a weekly podcast of commentary on the photographic industry. And now, here are your hosts, master photographers Christine Walsh-Newton and Ted Linsack.
Well, I gotta start off right off the bat. I know today isn't your birthday, but it's coming up, isn't it, Christine? That's probably the most exciting news of the week, right?
Actually, it's in a couple days.
You don't sound that excited, though, for your birthday. I mean, geez, I thought I'd bring that up and you'd be all about it.
I'm actually more about after my birthday because of the whole Disney
birthday
trip, yeah.
Well, Disney's pretty cool. I was going to go there, but since you don't want to talk about your birthday, I mean, are you getting anything exciting? I mean, at this point in your life, do birthdays matter anymore? I don't mean that as a derogatory statement. I mean, I'm genuinely asking because I know for me, you get for me, I'm at the point where it doesn't matter because anything that you want, you go and get within reason, obviously. And like birthdays used to be these things when you were kids. It was the most amazing time ever, kind of like Christmas. But now you get to a certain point, and it's just another day, right?
Yeah.
Do you have the same feeling, or?
Yeah, it's sort of like that. And like you hit the nail on the head. Dwight has a particular issue with trying to get me gifts because if I want anything, I just buy it for myself. I mean, I'm not a luxurious kind of person, but if there's anything I need, I just get it. So I don't usually leave him much that he can give me that would be useful or that I would like, kind of thing.
Oh, what about that new Nikon? Is like a 105 1.4 or something like that? Maybe is there a chance that's going to be wrapped up? Maybe
there's about as much chance of that as there is me finding a kitten in a box.
Finding a kitten, that would be awesome.
That's an easy gift. I know, but we have 3. It would never fly.
Oh, 3, 5, 8. I mean, what does it matter? You're talking about cats. Oh my, hilarious. So the other day I'm in the kitchen, and I don't know what happened, but we have like a screened-in porch, and occasionally we'll open the door, and there's like, I don't know what you'd call it. It's in between our garages. Our garage is detached. From the garage to the house, there's a screened-in area. So we'll open the door sometimes that goes out there, and we'll let the cats sit out there. We don't let the cats go outside, but they're able to kind of be in that area. Man, the other day I let Mila out there, and she went out there, and I was just in the kitchen making lunch or something. It's totally quiet, all serene, and suddenly she just shrieked, like the loudest, to the point that I almost thought someone went in there and like did something. I mean, as odd as that sounds, I thought someone went in there and like grabbed her or something. I went in there. There was another cat that I'd never seen before. I mean, I've seen a few that roam around, but it had come right to the screen area, and they probably were sitting there sniffing each other for a while, but apparently something happened, and Mila doesn't play well with others, and she just freaked out. But it was so loud. I don't think I've ever heard that cat screech so loud. It was unbelievable. You didn't find that as funny as I did, but I thought it was amazing.
Well, it was one of those location jokes. You had to be there.
You had to be there. Oh, my goodness. So Disney, yeah, we're going to Disney next week. Disney's pretty cool. So we went last year, I think almost to exactly like a year, right? To the day, almost.
Yes.
Within a few days.
Yes. Yeah. Today. So it was a year ago today that we went.
It was a year ago today. Okay, awesome. Sweet. Yeah, I think I saw, thanks to Facebook, we can see all that amazingness. Right. So was that, I'm trying to remember, you had been there before, or had you never been to Magic Kingdom? Because that's where we went last year. Was that your first time there, or had it been like years, or what was the deal?
It had been years. I think I was there in 1988, maybe 89. They were just building the movie section. It had a whole different name back then.
Yeah, MGM Studios is that the one you're talking about?
Right.
Maybe.
Yeah. And I remember actually way back then, Walt Disney World, the biggest ride was Space Mountain, and it was closed down for annual maintenance when I was there. It sucked so bad.
Serious?
Yeah. It was 83 degrees every day I was there, and I mean, it was like the first week in January. And there was hardly anybody there. It was so awesome because it was the week that all the kids returned to school after Christmas break was over.
Oh, yeah.
So it was the optimum time to go. But that's when they had a lot of the stuff down for maintenance, so it wasn't near as enjoyable as it was last year. But I actually liked Epcot better that first time.
To continue, you desperately want to go to Epcot again, right?
Do.
But I'm just not letting you go. No, so you were there that first time. That was in, I think, at 89. You said 80. I was like 5 or 4 or something like that at the time. So
at least
I don't
you were
recall.
born.
I don't. At least I was born. Yeah. So you were there at that point, but that's horrible. That Space Mountain, because now you've been on it. And you know how amazing it is, and it's pretty cool. It's one of the best rides there, even though I'm not a big roller coaster person, but that's a ton of fun. So, man, I feel for you that the first time you were there, you couldn't do that. That sucks.
Yeah. I rode the boat.
Which one is it? Oh, the boat over the ferry. That's not really a ride, but you thought that was a ride?
The boat that goes through all the fake animals spurting water at you and stuff.
That's every ride. That's every ride there.
And I remember the Swiss Family Robinson tree. That's about all I remember from way back then.
Oh, my goodness. Yeah. Disney, I mean, for me, Disney is all about basically eating ice cream and then probably eating a turkey leg and then going on a bunch of rides. That's kind of my, you got to have the Mickey Mouse ice cream bars with the ears, and it's a competition to see how many of those you can actually eat in the course of one day, which I can eat quite a few.
Actually, I don't remember you eating any when we were there last year.
Really?
You had like one of everything else, and one time I bought something and you decided not to buy something. You just have half of mine, which I appreciated.
Oh, my goodness.
You remember that?
I was probably trying to behave. I didn't want you to think I was a freak, by eating 10 of those.
It's really appropriate that we're talking about Disney because this episode will air, or it will be released on the day that we are actually going to be at Disney on Tuesday.
Oh, how so exciting. We should have done a live podcast from, if there's any way to figure out how to do that, from, well, we're not going to Magic Kingdom. I was going to say, on Space Mountain, we should do, a live broadcast going through the ride. But sadly, we won't be there.
Let's do Facebook Live.
Oh, yeah. Maybe we'll do, what we should do, I don't know if we can, but Twilight Zone, the Tower of Terror, that would be awesome, which Rachel adamantly said she's not going to go on, but is by far the best ride at Hollywood Studios where we're going, which was formerly MGM, but now it's Hollywood Studios. That would be pretty awesome, though. It's one of those rides where, I don't know, let's see, holding a phone, that might be a little bit tricky unless you're okay with potentially losing your phone forever.
Yeah, I'm not sure how you got that roller coaster ride picture of us last year without losing your phone.
I'm that good. It's actually sheer luck. It's actually sheer luck. No, like everybody else, I took 28 frames and one of them came out. So, oh my god! So that should be fun. That's going to be cool. It's amazing to think that's coming up in just a few days. So we've been talking about it forever. And
oh yeah, I bought my
wild.
plane ticket in February, I think.
Jeez, we're ready to go. Yeah, it's going to be sweet. Yeah, maybe we'll do a Facebook Live. That should be fun. I found this kind of cool article. It's actually from a few days ago, but we like controversy around here occasionally. Well, I don't know. I think a lot of the things we talk about are not that controversial, but it's just how people interpret them, I guess. But here's a great story along those lines. This is actually, I don't know where I found this originally, but it's from the History Channel, and it's a newer article, I guess from March 27th, so fairly new. Let's see, the article is written by a guy named John Ortved, but title is, These Are the 10 Most Controversial Moments in the History of Photography. I want to go through these and see, because some of them, maybe some of them you know about, some of them I don't. I mean, I've done some research here just looking through it in the last, 15 minutes or so. But kind of an interesting list, looking back at history, and maybe I just want to go through it. We could talk about this a little bit, because, photography is all controversial, right? Most of it. Okay, so number one, death on camera / Matthew Brady Civil War photographs, which I've seen a lot of the Matthew Brady stuff, but I'm sure at some point you've seen his photos. I think from Antietam are the most well-known ones where they're actual photographs of a lot of the dead soldiers. Have you seen those before?
Oh, yeah.
You're adding so much.
Well, when you ask me a yes or no question, that's what you're going to get is a yes or no. If you'd like me to expand on that, I think I don't know that I'm going to say they're controversial. Are they really controversial? Because I think they're a documentation.
According to this article.
It's history. And
I think at the time it was, you know, I mean, now the world is crazy with what we think is bad and good and all that crap and what we're worried about. But at the time, you know, 1862, I guess this was, well, photography was, I mean, a relatively still new, obviously, art form. But I guess showing dead soldiers, that was, I mean, you have to imagine, I mean, think back to that time. You know, suddenly you look in a newspaper or something like that and you see photos of dead soldiers, you know, 160, 70 years ago, whatever it ended up being. Had to have been kind of a big deal, I guess, right?
Well, probably yes. I was just thinking, you know, back in that age in society, women were to be protected from things like that. So the men would have found it reprehensible, you know, and something they needed to protect their ladies from seeing, you know, almost as bad as porn, probably.
Yeah, well, what it says here, so again, I whoever wrote this again, just to give credit, you know, right? So John Ortved, so looking at this, basically says, so for the first time, Americans saw images primarily taken by Brady's staffer, Alexander Gardner. Yeah, so I've read about him. He actually, a lot of people, you think about Brady, but you don't know of there's a few people that he had that took a lot of the iconic images that a lot of people think are Brady's, but a lot of them he didn't take. So primarily taken by Brady's staffer, Alexander Gardner, of the soldiers killed and maimed on the battlefield. The results were shocking. Quote from the New York Times, Mr. Brady has done something to bring home to us the terrible reality and earnestness of war. Am I saying that right? I've never seen that word. Earnestness of war. Is that a word, Christine? Or
it must be. It was in the Times.
Yeah, from 1862. Maybe it's not a word anymore. Wrote the New York Times on October 20th, 1862. Quote, if he has not brought bodies and laid them in our dooryards and along the streets, he has done something very like it. So I guess that's number one on the list. Okay, number one on the list. Which I've seen I mean, those, and I've seen a lot of them. Actually, I had a really cool book, and I gotta find it. We were in Virginia, and it was actually, they probably weren't all Brady's photos. Maybe some of them were, but they were these historic shots of, some of these were some of the soldiers that were dead in the field, and then just various Civil War kind of pullback shots, and then basically the book was you'd have that historic shot, and on the right side, you know, someone had gone and done the same exact angle, you know, in modern times, and it was like an extensive book of all these photos. It was really cool. It was really just interesting. I like that kind of stuff, so maybe that bores certain people. But number two, and I've not heard about this specific thing here, but Andy Warhol booted from the 1964 World's Fair. Have you heard of that at all? His mugshot mural that he did.
Wow, that's vaguely sounds familiar.
Yeah, so it says, let me read it here, because I had not heard of this one, but it says, so this is number two, the mural Andy Warhol painted for the 1964 World's Fair, featuring 13 mugshots of wanted criminals taken from an NYPD booklet, was only up on the exterior of the Philip Johnson designed New York State Pavilion for 2 days before it was ordered to be painted over, leaving behind a giant silver rectangle. It says here, I've not done more research on this, but no one knows for sure why the work was censored. Warhol blamed Fair President and New York City Parks Commissioner Robert Moses. It says a year later, Warhol claimed he preferred the painted over version. I don't believe in anything, so the painting is more me now. I guess that's what he said about once they painted over it, where it was nothing. Classic Warhol. I had not heard of that at all, so... Number three, though, I have heard about. So we've talked about this before, maybe in a podcast or maybe not. Ron Galella. We've talked about Ron Galella, maybe?
Not on here. We have not. But yeah, I know who you're talking about. Yeah,
Ron Galella was a big paparazzi guy. So number three is Windblown Jackie, the paparazzi and the end of privacy. So Galella photographed all these celebrities, and he got roughed up with a lot of. I think he had a few broken bones from some interactions, but I think probably what he's more known for, and what the image here, and we'll probably post this article too on the blog. But he was really known for, I don't want to use the word stalking, but he was all about Jackie Onassis and getting portraits of her. And there's one in particular. I think that's what it's called, Windblown Jackie, where she's in the street and she's kind of turning to look back at him, and her hair is kind of blowing, and so basically that's kind of what this is about. But I guess it's all about the fact that the paparazzi really ended any kind of sense of privacy for anyone, really, well, for anyone famous, I guess, right?
But he went over the top, man. Didn't he hang out in trees around the perimeter of her property or something crazy like that? He was a nut.
It was something like, there's a really interesting documentary on him, and I'm blanking on the name right now, but it was on Netflix for a while.
Yeah, I watched it. I think it was just called Ron G or
Yeah, it's something like it's pretty
Paparazzi
interesting.
to the Stars, something like that.
It's pretty interesting. It says here, this is number 3. It says Galella made it his mission in life to snap Miss Onassis while he ambushed other celebs. It says Marlon Brando broke his jaw. Yeah, there you go. That's what I remembered. Broke his jaw and knocked out 5 teeth. Galella says, as revenge for discovering an affair between Onassis and the movie star. Okay. He followed Jackie like no other. While Galella called this snap his Mona Lisa, referring to this windblown image, the image captures the debate between what's news and what's gossip. What celebrities owe the public and what we owe of them. The battle lines between privacy rights and the rights of a photographer. Of course, what's not on here, too, and I forgot what this was ultimately determined to be, but you think of Princess Di. How long ago was that? 20 years or something? We're getting close to that.
Oh, yeah.
Wasn't that something, if I remember correctly? There's so many different theories with that. But wasn't it a paparazzi deal? They were trying to follow her, and they sped up, and that's how that whole accident happened, wasn't that?
Yeah, that's some of the speculation. Like by the way, the name of that movie is called Smash His Camera.
Yeah, there you go. Smash His Camera. Yeah, I think a lot of guys too, and again, I forget what we talk about, but a lot of people flicked him off. He's got a ton of photos of celebrities giving him the finger. I think we mentioned that before. I don't know if he's still alive or not, but
no, he actually died within the last year or so.
Okay,
I think he was one of the casualties of 2016.
Oh my goodness, yes. Because I'm telling you, 2016 was the first time anybody died. Really, it was a revolutionary year. No one had ever died before then. I don't know how we managed. So number four, the napalm photo that still courts controversy. I believe this was a Pulitzer Prize winner, but you've seen the little girl. Yeah, you've seen that. So taken. Let's see. It says here taken June 8th, 1972. The most famous photo of the Vietnam War depicts a 9-year-old Vietnamese girl fleeing a village. I guess her name is Trang Bang. That's what it says. I'm not sure. Trang Bang. Yeah.
She speaks.
Yeah.
I saw her on TV about a week or so ago.
Okay, yeah, that's what I thought. She's still kind of. I'm sure she has. I think she has some sort of foundation or something like that, right?
Yeah.
The photographer was Nick Ut or Ute. I'm sorry, I'm not sure how to pronounce it. I'm pretty sure this won a Pulitzer Prize. I'm not sure. It says the photo's effects were immediate and wide-reaching. Nixon was so worried about its effects, he speculated that it was a fake, created to bolster anti-war sentiment. Not a shock there. But 40 years after it was published worldwide and run up against many newspapers and magazines publishing standards, the photo faced similar obstacles when Facebook briefly removed it, arguing that its nudity defied their terms of use.
Oh,
I'd not heard of that, but
break. Oh my gosh, it was a Pulitzer Prize winning image. I'm looking stuff up while I'm talking to you.
I'm pretty sure it was. Yeah, I have a couple of those books, and I would guarantee that it was. Facebook. Hey, talk about Facebook. It was funny. Someone sent me something the other day. Now, it was another photographer friend of mine. They were posting an image to their page or something, to their business page, and now maybe you've seen it. Facebook has this thing that when you'll post a photo, it'll have a little thing at the top here's some tips for taking great photos from Facebook. Have you seen?
Yes,
have you seen one of those?
That's a joke.
It's pretty classic. Gotta love Facebook.
Yep.
Are you still looking up something, or
no? Actually, I felt like an idiot because I was trying to look up when that Pulitzer was awarded, and it would have been awarded for the year it was taken, which was 1972. So that's what I was supposed to be looking up.
Yeah, no one can fool you. You're so observant with that.
I know.
It would be 1972, yeah, and I would guarantee that it did win. Going on, this is so suspenseful. I had not heard of this at all. Okay, so do you know who Robert Mapplethorpe is? Have you heard of that guy?
Yes, and you're saying his name wrong.
I am? Oh, I'm sorry. Mapplethorpe?
That's my understanding. Go ahead.
So number 5 says Robert Mapplethorpe goes to trial. So apparently he had some sort of collection of images that were this is 1990, at the Contemporary Art Center of Cincinnati. I guess he had a collection of images which included S&M and gay culture photography entitled The Perfect Moment.
Yeah.
And I guess people freaked out at that.
Yeah, he crossed over into some erotica and some, sexually charged images from types of people we pretend don't have sex, I guess, at the time.
Yeah.
So, yes, it was very confrontational. And actually, I don't know. A lot of people questioned whether or not there was really any artistic value to it. They felt that it was arranged for shock value more than anything.
Oh, goodness. Yeah, well, apparently, I guess they try to cancel it, but I think what I'm reading through this here, I think eventually that they did allow that to happen. And, of course, it garnered record-breaking attendance, is what it says here. More than 80,000 visitors to the museum. So there you go. Mm-hmm. There's no such thing as bad publicity, right?
It's the 1990s version of the giraffe cam.
Oh, wow, that's a... Okay, I'm going to leave that there. There's some other jokes there or something, but I'm going to leave that alone.
Well, ploys to attract attention or attendance. You wonder if was fabricated.
Are you honestly comparing S&M to a draft cam?
No, the move to squelch his art and then put it back in.
Got it.
I felt was maybe a publicity maneuver.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Well, yeah. I'm sure that's never happened before. Yeah. You have to wonder though a lot because we hear about that all the time. You hear these kinds of things. Oh, we're going to do this, and then we're going to get. You got to think of how many of those are that. I mean, in today's day and age, people are always trying to use everything, to gain publicity. Number 6. Oh man, we talked about this before. Number 6 is Photoshop and blurred lines. Can it still be called photography? Let me read this here. It says, photos have been edited ever since developers in darkrooms figured out how to burn and dodge to lighten or darken images. But Photoshop, launched by Adobe in 1990, has become photography's best friend. While the most infamous instance occurred in 94, and I don't recall this at all, but it says, when Time magazine darkened O.J. Simpson's skin on its cover, retouching is par for the course in fashion magazines, where it can simply slip from gloss to reinvention. It says, when Kate Winslet appeared looking supermodel thin on the cover of British GQ in 2003, she commented, the retouching is excessive. I do not look like that. More importantly, I don't desire to look like that. I don't remember. Do you recall the OJ thing? Was that a thing with Time? I never heard of that before.
I do not remember that one, but I remember the Kate Winslet one.
Yeah, okay. I don't know. I don't, the whole thing with retouching, especially in the world of fashion and stuff, I know a lot of people, there's campaigns out there saying, oh, we have to stop all this, and I don't know, man. I see merits of it. I mean, I understand the concept of self-image and not going overboard, but the bottom line is it's an industry. I mean, like, fashion images are always going to be retouched. I mean, you could argue about how much they do, but just like you have clients that want blemishes removed and all this stuff. I mean, it's just a part of the process. I don't know, man. I think people get too worked up about that.
Well, I'm going to disagree with you. I think
oh my goodness.
I think there's a specific Hey, you just said your opinion. I'm allowed to say my opinion. All right, my name's on the masthead here too. Okay.
Continue.
I think a lot of it has to depend on, who the audience is and what their purpose is. It doesn't function solely as a fashion magazine or a fashion photograph. There are a lot of young girls looking at these beautiful, beautiful women and wanting to be just like them. And if they've been manipulated digitally to the point where they look, 20, 30 pounds thinner than they actually are, and then you've got these young girls aspiring to be a body size that is not natural and not healthy at all. That's where I see the biggest fall down of that. And, I can see why a lot of people are against it and don't think it should be done. And I've seen a lot of it, and a lot of it is overdone. They take really, really beautiful women that are already thin, and they carve chunks out of them. And they make them longer and thinner and leaner and higher cheekbones and paint in all their makeup. I mean, it's just, they give them more hair.
Isn't it? But it's an industry. I mean, that's what they do. I mean, that's what I'll argue that's what people want, because people still buy all the if there really was this mass movement, and people can feel however they want to, but if there was this huge mass movement that said, yeah, these are, they shouldn't be doing this and we should stop buying this stuff. I feel if there really was that and there was that backlash, that something would change. But I view it as that's what sells magazines or whatever is the case. I mean, it's not only magazines. I mean, yeah, you think of fashion magazine, that's where it comes out. But any product, I mean, anything that has an image on it, images are edited to a point. I mean, to the extent it could be different. Yeah, but that's what sells. I mean, they can. I don't know. That's
well,
what I
I'm
think
not
on it.
disagreeing with you there, and I'm not saying that I think they should stop doing it. I think it's just unfortunate that there is a segment of our young adult ladies that look to this and aspire to be. It causes them health issues. It causes them, anorexic problems with food and all that stuff. It's just unfortunate that young ladies think that they need to look like this. So, I'm not saying they need to stop or they have an moral and ethical obligation to stop. I mean, like you said, it is business and it is what sells. Just one of those things.
See, this is controversial. Okay, number seven says a female photographer rules the roost. Again, I've not heard of this, but it says fine art has always been a boys' club, but in May 2011, Cindy Sherman became the most expensive photographer in the world. Her work entitled Number 96, 1981. I'm not sure if that's when it was taken. 1981. It was a self-portrait of her posing as a teenage girl lying on the floor, sold at Christie's for $3.8 million. The next year, for her MoMA retrospective, the New York Times credited Sherman with taking photography out of a ghetto and putting it on the same firm fine art footing as painting and sculpture. Cindy Sherman. Unfortunately, I had not heard of her. Do you know who she is?
No, but I think that Peter Lick has exceeded that since that date.
Well, yeah, I guess. I mean, the article is new, but I guess they... Well, what was the deal with Peter Lick? Wasn't there some sort of odd, thing that said that he really... that I know that he's supposed to have that one image that sold for... It wasn't it 10 million or something like that?
Yeah, it was up there. What I have heard is that all of the purchasers of those high money images have all been anonymous.
Yeah, okay. It was something like that. I remember reading a story that said the way that they got to that figure was kind of fudging the numbers a little bit or something. I mean, I don't really remember, but I just remember seeing something like that.
Yeah, there was. It sounded like there was some questionable stuff going on in the background. I don't know. People are saying that he bought it himself. Who knows?
So controversial. Number 8 is the digital revolution and the shock of Abu Ghraib. Abu Ghraib? Was it? Abu Ghraib? Yeah. It says digital cameras, especially as they made their way into phones, turned everyone into a photographer. Oh my goodness, that is not true at all. Turned everyone into a photographer, editor, journalist, pornographer, and whistleblower. Nowhere was this more apparent than in April 2004 when the abuses at Abu Ghraib prison, discovered on the camera of a guard by a fellow soldier, were revealed to the public through leaked photos. So we've definitely talked about that. Everyone's a photographer. I mean, there's good and bad, because you have. I mean, now, you think of the last week or the last 2 weeks with all this stuff with the airlines. Not still photos, but people having phones, and in a way, it's good because yes, you can be there and we can get this instant news. But then you also have, which I feel a lot of this is now, and tell me if you agree or not. There's just people looking to get famous, and people like that guy on the United Airlines. I don't know the whole story, but the guy who got dragged out, I just read an article that he settled with United for a, quote, undisclosed amount. I mean, so I think a lot of these people now, they just see dollar bills, when this stuff happens, and I don't know, some of it is so one-sided, and I feel people are out there not really wanting to hey, let me document this news so I can get it out there and the world can see, but I think a lot of people are just thinking about themselves and how they can make millions or become famous.
Yeah, I think...
Do you agree with that assessment?
I guess I have seen my share of people that it looks like their goal in life is to become viral.
Yeah. Oh, of course. I mean, that's been around, I think, for a few years now, but the more of that happens, like the United Airlines thing and these videos that get posted and they go viral and it's surrounding some sort of issue with the airlines. I think the more people see that and then they read a story that says, wow, this guy settled with United, now it seems way more appealing to somehow capture something like that where something's happening to me. I don't know. I think the motivation could be skewed a little bit.
You're thinking too much.
Oh, you're underestimating the power of people to want to become rich.
Well, I think that I don't know. It makes it sound like everybody that videos something is trying to shyster somebody out of something. I don't think that's the way of it.
Yeah, I guess not. The problem with the viral stuff, though, is it gets out there. People share it everywhere. It's a one, whether it's right or wrong, it's a one-sided thing. Whether that perspective is the right side, it spreads so quickly. The emotions flare up so quickly. There's no time. No, not that all news is they're out there to have an agenda. I mean, some are, but with news, you get it out there and someone researches it and writes a story, and you kind of have time where someone's trying to look at both sides. But a lot of the viral stuff, it gets out there so fast and it spreads so quickly that the one narrative that's thrown out there is just the perspective that's in the video or whatever, right?
That's why they call it viral, Ted.
But I'm saying that's what fuels the narrative, whether it's right or wrong. You don't have any time. Like, people get so emotionally charged up with that 20 seconds that they saw that people don't even consider the rest of the story, whether there is another half to it or not.
Right, yes.
I don't know if you agree with that. But.
Well, it's just like that picture. Never mind.
Wow, way to
I don't want to
tease that.
give anything away, but we only see a slice of the story. Yes, okay, so say for example that United Airlines thing. Apparently there was some other stuff going on prior to this, but all we saw was there was like a woman right behind or right across that was like crying and screaming, how can you do this? And actually she was more of the star of that video than the guy being drug along the aisle out of there. But I think everybody's immediate reaction was to sympathize with that woman and have the same reaction as her.
You're talking about the stroller lady? Is that what you're talking about?
I don't know. The stroller lady?
Are you talking? Because there was another video in terms of the airlines. There was a lady that supposedly.
No, I haven't seen that one yet.
Oh, I thought you were talking about that because there was the United guy that got dragged off, but there was a lady. Someone took a video after. Again, why there's only one perspective. This video didn't even record the actual event. It recorded what happened after. But supposedly one of the flight attendants was trying to get her to put her stroller away or something, and then grabbed it from her and then kind of hit her and hit her little baby or something. And then someone immediately after began recording this interaction. Then what happened, there was like another guy that was watching this, and he said, hey, I want the name of that flight attendant. And then the flight attendant came in and they almost got into a brawl. But this lady was sobbing like incessantly about this whole stroller thing. And when you watch the video, even me, I clicked on it, and it's like, wow, yeah, what a jerk this guy was. And it clearly showed that the flight attendant in the video, he probably didn't handle it the way, he kind of got hot-headed. But then I read another story from someone else who was there that said, well, they had told her that the stroller wouldn't fit, and she was adamant that it would, and there was an argument or something. So it's just so hard to know without seeing both sides. It's so easy to share that 30-second clip and get all emotional about it without at all considering what happened before her.
Huh. Okay.
Wait, why are you laughing? You clearly have a point there that you're trying to make.
No, you said 30-second clip, and I honestly,
Yes, of course. Well, unlike the 30-second clips I post for our show, I know where you're going with it. Yeah, it's all good. Okay, let's move on. How about that? We're almost at the end, and then I have one more. I have number 11 to add to this list.
What happened to 9 and 10?
I'm getting there. As I said, we haven't gotten there yet. So number 9, and I've never heard of this at all. This one that's totally out there. It's entitled number 9, Photo Update by Richard Prince. Okay, Richard Prince. Let me read this. It says, a master of appropriation, Richard Prince has been commenting on others' work since his Cowboy series beginning in 1980, where the artist photographed packs of Marlboro cigarettes with images shot by Sam Abell, removed the text, and reframed them as high art. His work, collected by museums like the Guggenheim, Whitney, and Smithsonian, is among the most expensive for a living artist. He provoked an uproar in 2014 when he showed, quote, new portraits at the, oh my goodness, I don't know how to say this, Gagosian Gallery in New York. I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing that. Comprising inkjet on canvas images from Instagram of attractive women like singer Sky Fiera and model Candace. I don't know how to say these names. I'm sorry. Candace something or other. The work sold for $100,000. The show pulled into question not only what photography could be in the digital age, but issues of fair use, which we've been talking about that a little bit, as subjects took issue with the artists using and then selling their personal images.
I remember that.
You do? Okay, cool. That's interesting. So, I mean, that's someone grabbing images off Instagram and then selling them. That seems like that's an issue.
He actually had it. They looked like Polaroids. I think he got all the text out of there, but he blew them up really big and framed them and hung them in a gallery show or a show somewhere. It was ridiculous. He didn't do any of that work. He just copied pictures off of Instagram, and it was stupid.
That's a notch below someone retouching your image to death and then entering it, right?
Yeah.
Am I allowed to say that?
Yeah, sure. Oh, man. No. Let's not go there on 2 episodes in a row.
I'm not allowed to say that. Okay. Last but not least, number 10 is Celebgate. Okay, and just to summarize it, I don't know if you remember. Let's see the dates on here. 2014, there was a bunch of images that got hacked of celebs, and I guess some of them were in various states of undress, and that was a whole big deal, which, I don't know, whatever. I guess that's bad. I mean, I guess if I was that person, that would not be good, but I don't know. If you have anything to add on that, that's kind of...
No, I remember that as well, and I don't remember who the woman was, but there was one actress that handled it remarkably with class, and I would have just been mortified, but I remember that too.
I think the whole point is, again, going back to privacy and security and how important it is today, because if you're a celebrity, obviously you're a target, but I think people sometimes have a false sense of security and I don't know, with their images. I mean, it's so easy for all this stuff to get out there. We've talked about this before. You get a lot of these young kids, and unfortunately you get a lot of young girls is what I'm trying to say. They're sending photos back and forth, and occasionally they're not, the images they shouldn't be sending, and they think that it'll never get anywhere. But, with the internet, geez, man, I mean, you get one image like that out there, and it'll never go away. It'll be with you for the rest of your life. One stupid thing that you do. I mean, I don't think people realize that.
Yeah. True.
Number 2. So that was number 10. Is there anything that was left out on there that comes to mind? I thought it was kind of an interesting article. I mean, there's probably a million things if we really dove into it, but it's kind of interesting.
Sure.
Yeah, sure. You sound amazing. I mean, you sound enlightened by this. So this maybe isn't number 11, but before we wrap up, I got to mention this because everyone's talking about it. I don't know if you saw it, but have you heard of the whole Shutterfest competition brouhaha?
I did see a little something on social media that made me scratch my chin and say,
Yeah, so the Shutterfest, I mean, I've heard, it's Sal Sincata. I mean, I've heard he has a Shutter, I think the magazine he has is called Shutter or something or other. I didn't even realize that they had a convention. I guess they do. It's called Shutterfest, apparently. But they had some sort of large, like a print competition, and I guess the whole thing was, I don't know how many entries they had total, but a lot of people entered. They had different categories. There was a big grand award that had, I think it was $2,000 maybe. And, it's Sal's thing. He created the whole, the convention is his brainchild and all that. I don't know exactly to what extent, but it's basically all under his umbrella of the Shutter magazine and all that. And I guess he decided to enter his own competition, and he ended up winning the grand award and placing first and second, and he placed in a bunch of other categories, and I guess people are losing their minds with that. What do you think about that? Good idea, bad idea? Was anything wrong done, or was it more of like kind of an ethical thing that maybe he shouldn't have? What do you think?
Well, I don't think there's anything wrong with entering your own competition that you are over. I mean, I'm relaying that to when I'm over competitions at Ohio. I go ahead and enter them if I have time because I'm not judging. Nobody I know is judging, and our judging is anonymous. I don't know how Shutterfest was judged. I don't know if the people recognized the work. I don't know if Sal had that work out there and everybody knew it was his and voted for it, or I don't know if it was just a big old, what do you call that? Coincidence.
Yeah, close.
Yeah.
Okay. Thought you were. Yeah, okay. I'll leave it at that. Okay. That's interesting. I'm kind of in the same boat, and people are going nuts over it. I mean, I guess I can see both sides, but I've seen a lot of posts, and a lot of people are saying, "Oh, that it was his own thing, and then he entered, and now he won this $2,000 grand prize, and people knew it was his work." And I guess he went on there and he wrote some long thing. I'm not going to read. I don't even have it up, but he wrote something essentially saying, "Hey, yeah, it's my thing, but the judges were all impartial. We followed like PPA, WPPI type protocols." So, I mean, apparently it's I don't know how it was run. I have no clue, but I'm assuming it was run under the same kind of setup that like a PPA print comp was run. But I don't know. People are putting these conspiracy theories out there that everyone knew his images and that his work is so recognizable, and I don't know. I don't really know what to make of it.
People pretty much complain after every single competition ever.
So true.
And here's my theory on it. It's done. It's over with. The stuff is put away in storage till next year. Nobody's going to change any standings. Nobody's going to take a trophy from one person and give it to another. It's a done deal. Shut up. Seriously.
Nice.
Just let it go, man.
I mean, and, I'm all about competition. We've talked about that, obviously, and I like to win stuff. But, honestly, who cares? Like, in a month, no one's going to even care who won the Shutterfest sprint competition. No one's gonna care.
Exactly.
I mean, there was a money award, so I guess that's probably what's driving people. He won this $2,000 thing, so I'm sure if there was no money component, there maybe would be of a less thing. But I think they're saying, wow, and he won this thing, and he takes home $2,000, and he organized it, and I don't know. It's for me. If anything, I say, okay, if that's me, if I run this big thing and this big print comp, and I know there's a big money purse, I personally may say, just knowing how people are, I might decide to sit out. Like I don't really know if that's the 100% right ethical thing to do. I think if he ran it in a way where there was a whole panel of judges, which a lot of people are saying there were, and he just entered normally, I mean, how can you fault him? I mean, I guess there could be a conspiracy theory, but I doubt it. But I may have made the decision not to do it, knowing how people are, just to avoid that whole issue,
Yeah, I've involved myself in some print competitions at other states, and I know there was a point where I was entering in a state where I guess I had paid membership. I don't even remember what state it was, but you had to pay membership in order to do their print comp. And I remember feeling sort of morally torn about that because it made me eligible for trophies. And I just didn't want that. I just wanted scores. So what I wound up doing was never entering a full case. I would only enter a maximum of 3 images. That way I could not qualify for anything. So I kind of...
Yeah, well, that's, I don't know. It's hard. I'm not really torn either way. I just think if it was me, maybe I'd try to do something like that. Like say, hey, I'm entering, but I just want to score. I don't want to be considered for any awards. Because I know in my head, if I had some big purse and I did it and then I won it, like I would just think ahead. People would freak out, whether it's right or wrong. They'd lose their minds, because that's what people do.
That it would make people wonder, and when people wonder, people talk, and when people talk, everything goes to hell from then on. So,
but then we just said though, and there's no such a thing as bad publicity, right? So he's probably going to be even more popular now, after this.
It could be. You just said he posted some long thing. You know how many people listening are going to go look that up next?
Yeah, he basically, he just listed out, he said, hey, it's my comp, but I entered it, but we followed all this stuff, and he basically just dismisses it, which, I don't know. I thought it was, maybe that could be number 11 on this list, I don't know, maybe not. We'll see. No one's going to care about this in 2 weeks, though, that's the only thing I can guarantee, is no one's going to care.
Alrighty.
Oh, my goodness, so controversial. Well, I think we're going to leave off with that, a few more exciting days till Disney, that's going to be awesome, I can't wait. So in the meantime, if you guys want to listen to past episodes, please go to either our website, which is makephotographyGreatAgainPodcast.com. You can find all past episodes on there. You can listen to them. You can download them. Also in the iTunes store. Yes, in the iTunes store on your iPhone, iPad, all the other Apple junk that you have. iWatch, I don't know. Can you actually browse on an iWatch? I have no clue.
I have no clue.
Maybe you can't. I don't know. But go to the iTunes store. You could check us out on there as well and download those, which is even more convenient. Also, if you are liking what you're hearing, and let me say this, if you like what you're hearing, leave us a review and a rating. If you don't like it, just don't bother, okay? Because it's really not worth the time, But go on there. We definitely want to hear from you. Leave us a review. That would be super helpful. But I think that's it. Another controversial episode. Check out the blog, too. I should mention we will probably post this article, right? What do you say? People can check it out.
Yes.
We'll post this on there along with this episode, so you'll be able to check it out on there. So that's about it. Any last words, Christine?
Nope.
Sweet. Okay, guys, we will catch you all next week. See ya.
Bye-bye.
You have been listening to Make Photography Great Again with Christine Walsh-Newton and Ted Linzak. Come back next Tuesday for a brand new episode. For more information and access to the podcast archive, please visit our website, Make Photography Great Again podcast.com.